Hello. Said hello, not hello. I will no longer be using the word hello, but I have substituted with that other word that I mentioned, the other Greek word, first of all, being halo. After having read this one pamphlet, leaflet, or whatever I have said, was the author was saying that when anybody greets another individual person with the word, the Greek word of hello, that you're supposedly literally actually wishing a curse upon that of some such other or another person, being that because the root word or the greeting word of hello is that of hell, being of which is translated to be defined as meaning a place of torment. So I say halo much rather instead, you know, as the replacement substitute greeting word. So I have given you all the cliff notes version explanation as to why I will no longer be using the greeting word of hello anymore. And as I had speed dialed, that being the reason why I won't, so that I can get to that of a much more pressing issue in a greater behalf, or for that being of which is in the better interest of Chicago's public school children, you know, so far as the educational crisis that is involving them. Then, hey, hi, how are you all doing, my social media family? Being of any subscribers and or visitors to that being of my own immediate personal channel. Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay. If not better yet to be said, to be feeling all right, or if not best of all, to be said, to be feeling blessed and stressed. You and yours, family, friends, hopefully me and mine likewise. And it is not just quite, but very much so cold outside. And I yet to venture back out in the streets, take care of some personal business matters, not to mention have to take care of some of such other first and foremost, was I myself been speaking upon these matters, not only coming man, not to mean astray from the original topic of discussion, then of which I will get to shortly. But anyway, so I say to wrap things up so far as the last mention before I were to lose my train of thought, and was presently I am in preparation for an upcoming housing inspection. And so I have to take care of the necessary business at hand if I don't want to be calm or be out of doors, for that or some such given moment in time to possibly become or be of the racial percentile statistics of the daily transients, as in to be translated, to be defined as meaning of the likes of the homeless persons, God forbid. I'm gonna have to eat something. Drink H2O as water while I do this video, because I haven't eaten anything as yet for today. Where's the crackers at? Ooh, somewhere. The devil is busy. Anyway, though, getting back to some of such other, or as I was about to say. Damn, I ain't got crackers. What happened? Hold up, yeah. I'm hungry. I'm hungry as a booty booty. Oh, here it is. Okay. Start like Marvin. Yeah. I'm going to eat a little something while I do this video, as I felt this social media broadcast or whatever one wants to call it, as I felt inspired to go about composing it, in the greater behalf on the better interest of Chicago public school student children. And I don't know if you know the school children for private schools are having just as much of a problem with their educational pursuits as well as the Chicago public school children, Chicago public school student children, or whatever I say. Now that I've gotten the basic preliminaries out of the way, then let me begin. This is watch. Somebody, got me. Took me to get off my wrist, cut the band. When I'm wearing this particular one around my neck, get it back in. And I did arts and craft number on it. And the second one is on my wrist as a replacement system. Anyway, though, yes, um, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, yeah, and I got the preliminaries out the way. The Chicago public school system is really screwed up, to put it mildly. So that's not the half of it. I don't know what they are doing, you know, the teachers and whoever else for that matter, disregard any interruptions of any internet trolls, as I suspect one has popped up in my notification section. I wish they wouldn't do that. You know, somebody wants to pop in here. Don't leave a comment, but leave letters or some kind of acronym, and it could be social media website or otherwise that is counterproductive to that being my own social media channel. And I just hate it when they do that. These internet trolls in the negative. You know, took them through a monkey wrench in the program. Can you all hear me? I don't know if y'all can hear me. Oh yeah, okay. Thought somebody sabotaged that. My audio is. They could possibly hold that thought, y'all. I'm gonna address this possible internet troll right quick. Dear Warner Cliffs, Northbrook, please do not come on my channel and or into my chat room and or comments section with your internet troll nonsense. Now, if you have something to say, then say it. And if not, then take your garbage or trash. Take your garbage or trash and dispose of it elsewhere. And somebody somebody else's channel, chat room, or comments section, as this ain't that kind of party. And so therefore, quit attempting to rain upon my parade. You or anybody else, you or anybody, you're Anybody else for that matter? As your presence is not welcome here, and I will silence your chat through time once I have more convenient time available to try to do so. Busy, something like that. And then likewise as an alternative option. Again, likewise as an alternative. Sorry about that, you all. Option. Whereas there, I will block as the likes of your kind who to become or be counterproductive in my podcast. Social media. Therefore, take a hike. Sorry about that, you all. The devil is busy, you know, as you all know. Or as I was saying in more words or less. You know, yes. And when these internet trolls come on here, you know, the majority of most being of whom I block, they are blocked permanently, you know, because I'm not having it, you know. And disregard what you see up there. That's for a lady friend. It's not for me myself. I'm not trying to think of it with my intentions to become a contestant for the RuPaul drag queen female impersonator television show episodes. God forbid. Anyway, though, where was I before I was so rudely interrupted? Oh yes, you know, not that I had forgotten, but trying to think where about I was last in exactly in speaking upon that of the educational dilemma or problem that Chicago public school children have become subject to experiencing, however said, due to the mismanagement of the grown-ups, teachers, politicians, and the likes. And that's a shame that, you know, Chicago public school children's education has to suffer for all that mismanagement, you know. And in conjunction to this here global pandemic scare, you know. And all I could do is give some suggestions, you know, as the president give more time, and anybody else that wishes to give any, it would be greatly appreciated. Being because our children's Chicago public school children's education is at stake, you know, and it should not have to be put upon a chopping block of any city's annual fiscal budget. You know, you've got to think about what's more important. You know, okay, that is to get the children back in the school or get them online. Than to permit their young minds to not have much of anything to occupy it on a positive note of interest, and then whereas the unlicensed teachers of the street could get a hold of them, if you know what I mean. Read between the lines, fill in the blanks, being the likes of the pimps and pushers and pickpocketers and purse snatchers and extortionists and forgers and kidnappers and human traffickers and or human traffic or no human traffickers and or whatever I have said. And that's a shame. You mean to tell me that different teachers and politicians they can't do a much better job of trying to see to it that our children, Chicago's public school children, can either get some kind of education, not a better education, you know, than for how they dilly dallying, sitting on their musty, rusty dusties, the grown ups, you know, being lazy, ask me. Oh yeah, but again, I apologize for starting this video late, you all. I mean, due to some such physical health conditions, dilemmas, problems, I ever said, issues at hand, and I have quite a number of some as such. Yeah, from my sinuses bothering me to pain in my joints. I don't want to go into the specific details for obvious, evident reasons and on purposes being because that's my own personal business information. I don't know what kind of persons at times or how much that could possibly be paying a visit to my own social media channel, chat room, and our comment section. Hoping nobody had, gotten wind of the brief, because I had received a telephone call and it was, and there aired on my television set. That's my own personal business. But then, hopefully nobody will be obnoxious to try to perpetrate because you can go to jail for that in case of identity theft and so forth. Getting back to some of such other. So, not to ministrate from the original topic of discussion. So here we have it, that, Chicago Public School children's education is suffering. I'm fixing my watch at the moment while I'm talking to y'all. So I explain, just in case you all may be wondering what I'm doing otherwise. Yeah, so here it is that Chicago Public School children's education is suffering. Been that because of the mismanagement of the grown-ups, be they teachers, politicians, big business CEOs for that matter. I mean, what is really going on? Yeah, whereas the teachers are saying, you don't want to go back into those classrooms, anytime too soon up again. After all, we got a global pandemic going. Well, get the maintenance personnel that's supposed to deal with the hygiene of the classrooms. You know, um, get them to do a much better job of it. They have to get up earlier. That's what I mean to say, to do the job at hand, disinfect all the different, you know, furnishings or furniture within the classrooms. And then some. I mean, how is it that private schools children don't have as much problems as the public school for children. It's like one big realistic conspiracy theory, you know, like public education for school children is being put at risk on purpose, you know. You know what I mean? I mean, really now. Pop up notifications. Getting back to something, you know. I mean, and then the teachers, you know, I'm hearing, you know, more than quite a few of them are becoming sick. I mean, people just, politicians, they're not doing any better. And quite a few of them becoming sick, come, becoming, becoming sick, and likewise coming short of what this supposed to do their responsibilities or obligations to the different school children or public education school system. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you're feeling sick in the body, physically sick, by all means, stay at home. You know, I mean, it's and not that I'm like advocating, supporting, or promoting that being the poisonous vaccine. I call it poisonous vaccine. I'm sorry, you all, but I'm kind of skeptical of any, pharmaceutical drug or medicine being of which is, all of a sudden, like hot off the presses, define the 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 much more traditional means by which it can or could possibly be approved. Some such experimental drug or medicine. I'm kind of suspicious when it be processed and then manufactured and distributed within a relatively short time frame period, then of which defies that being the odds of the much more orthodox traditional method technique. You know, speaking upon these matters now becoming man, where it usually takes years for a drug. I'm saying so insane. State for the record. If I were to get back to the original topic of the discussion, I can stray from some such other vice versa. But it usually take years for a medicine to be approved by the different agencies or organizations, you know, as well as many different test experiments, which has to be done upon some such before it is made available for human use, And here it is that this one particular vaccine is up and running within a time frame period of from 1 year to a year and a half. That's bullish. Getting back to some of such other, yes, I'm one. Well, hopefully, I still am one that I'm vaccinated. Though I have my suspicion that a doctor or a nurse here and there at two different hospitals could have given me the vaccine via injections at two different hospitals at two different times, regardless of whether the hospital was public or private or the medical facilities establishments, premises, properties, real estate in question, you know, and that could possibly be contributing to, you know, what present physical ailments or symptoms, which I have become subjected to experiencing. But anyway, getting back to the original topic of discussion. So here we have it, grown-ups or teachers and then coming up sick for some unexplained reason or another, so to speak, in addition to what is speculated, and they're being rather lackluster or lazy about taking care of necessary business at hand. Nothing beats a failure but a try. It's mismanagement in monetary finances, etc. Here it is, the mayor of our city is supposed to address the issue, give a public announcement, and yet she hasn't done so as yet, not that this is to slander her character, but because we have a legal judicial system, our own supposed so-called Democratic Republic of Democracy, whereas slander is an offense, as well as anybody, as well as anything else. So I meant to sorry for butchering the English language American dialect just now. So, and as anybody knows, slander as well as libel is a criminal. I mean, not so much a criminal compared to, well, hopefully not. Oh, it can become a criminal as well as civil. Okay? I'm not trying to go there, you know. And I will not speak much on economics, the annual fiscal budget of our city, and how the education system of the Chicago school children, students, is being put on the chopping block. Because I'm not an economist, so I won't go there. I'm sorry. Digging for gold. Anything else yesterday. I mean, if you ask me, it's like the teachers and the politicians started off be like a realistic conspiracy theory. They're looking for any and every reason, for some reason or another, not to like they're really becoming quite lazy. I don't know if it's just due regard and reference to the weather temps or whatever else for that matter. You know, but they're dragging their butts behind about taking care of this problem. And Chicago school student children have to suffer for it. I remember watching this one news broadcast where this one, child school student was saying in more words or less, I want to go back to school, and it makes me sad that I can't go back to school. Like, what? And if I was a Chicago public school student child, I mean, I would be able to relate to that, because they're wondering what are we going to do, while the teachers are deciding, the teachers and the politicians are deciding about our education, whether or not we go back to school or go online. In the meantime, we are at home and wondering what other places, that could we can kind of set up for an after school program until we could go back to the much more familiar atmosphere setting to continue our education, And we gotta look out our windows and we see all the different pimps and pushers and pickpockets and purse snatchers, ready and willing to get some young recruits to continue their criminal enterprises, as unlicensed school teachers otherwise for the school of hard knocks. And that's a shame. Now, they need to set up some kind of online services for the different Chicago public school student children, so that though they're not in class, in a school class, and get online on a computer, you know, practically, possibly free of charge, compliments of a mayor's annual fiscal budget plans for the city to make sure that a mind is not a terrible thing to waste. You hear what I'm saying? That school, Chicago public school children, Chicago public school children's education is not at stake. For that assignment starts getting on time so that This is, no, so that the children cord, so that the children education is not at risk. You heard what I'm saying? Then it calls it for unlicensed school teachers of the riffraff, rank and file, or the criminal element get a hold of them. The different grown-ups otherwise are going to wish that they had finally established, you know, kind of short notice, at least some kind of basic program or plans to have the different Chicago public school children's education continue. Yeah, I mean, get them online. Watch watch that one episode of Jimmy Kimmel where he's supposed to be playing the part of a makeshift you know um welcome back Carter male character. For that or something, so give him on time where he had these different children online, you know, talking to him. Hopefully not as a card carrying member to Pizzagate or Comet Ping Pong or something. You know what I'm saying? Like that going on. Well, Hollywood, good or Hollywood, California itself. You know, going for the children's peanut butter. That ain't cool. I know you all want. I got two different jobs. It's a neighbor from hell door. Chance for eating this peanut butter. I'll be having trespass my principal probably while I was not here, especially while him. Respect that he had though, even though I am here. Trying to get my booty rest of these. If I were to catch them in there, it would be hell to pay. Anyway, though, getting back to some of such other. So they could set up something, an online service for the children. I mean, really now. I know they can do much better, you know. Well, they do have some kind of online service, but what I mean is, like, hopefully they can establish a much better one, you know. Then because if these riffraff get a hold of the children, teach them some aside from the school of hard knocks, you'd be wishing that you had them in class before then. Unless they want to come up looking like, Cookie Sanders, Robert Sanderfield, something like that. Being of a young black male, of an underage male minor, I got caught up in the moment, who had become a casualty of, the street wars of the different factions of society of the riffraff. He was a 9-year-old boy who was butchered by the gang he was affiliated with, you know, at some such given moment in time, ripping and running through the streets. Then because he didn't have any proper older male and female role models to steer him in the right direction. Hold that thought. Hey, jerk, dude, guy, or fella within or in my comments section Do you think that you do you think that you yourself could like get the damn hell out of here get the hell out of here and go find a plastic or rubber dildo to suck upon or by, but then then nevertheless, get frock, the frock out of my comments section for this present particular social media broadcast or video that the effing idiot spam as it is not welcome here, jerk. Sorry about that, you all. But these here internet trolls, they're becoming really that much more obnoxious. Like be compared on to, but then some of them could possibly be moonlighting as crank callers and stalkers, etc. Other than that, have I given you all at least the Notes version or of any suggestions for that how we could go about remedying resolving the issue of the Chicago public school system's failure in due regard to, well, not so much as mismanagement from an economic point of view, but in due regard or in reference to some of such other maintenance cleanup of the different, classes and the establishing as a setup of some kind of what you call alternative options to make sure that the Chicago public school student children can or could possibly be able to continue their education. I'm sorry if I have done a rather poor job of addressing the issue maybe at the moment. Maybe some future social media broadcast or video I could possibly much more properly, go about speak my mind or give my views and opinions and suggestions. But then I'm about to close shop, so far this particular present social media broadcast or video, and then I'll get back with you all later. And as I will usually give that the basic intro, I will speak upon a subject matter or issue at hand or topic of discussion to be debated. You know, give an argument with many different views and opinions to be associated with some as such, and then from there, I'll give a closing. As you all know, and by simply saying, and that is, if you haven't got, notice I have cut my dreadlock braid. most of the time. But then if you haven't, yeah, to try to look more presentable or so to speak, or make myself more available for the job market. You know, I didn't want to go through the legal hassle of trying to litigate with a business company or employer for the reason or purpose to try to keep my dreadlock braid. I don't really feel like the legal hassle at the moment, among other business matters I have to take care of. That's including to try to prevent myself from becoming of the homeless statistics, as I've never been homeless by choice. I'm not trying to start to become otherwise for the first time, you know. But that would be a legal matter that would have to be taken care of in its own right. Getting back to some or such other, and giving the closing, for this particular social media broadcast, video as we have it at the present. But then feel free to check out any other of my social media broadcasts of videos, which I have done in the past up until now. I got about something like, what is it, 200, 300 something of some of such. And regardless of, although I had deleted certain ones, I have yet to delete some more, you know, for reason or purposes being, if any seem to be supposedly quite out of the ordinary or west. I wouldn't mean to offend anybody, and if I have, I'm sorry. I apologize to one and all, and please, I would appreciate your input if you go about using discretion, though, to inform that my person about certain social media broadcasts or video of mine, because that would defeat the reason or purpose for my having established this social media channel, not only for myself, but for others, that could give their input if and when in my comment section, but at the same time, hopefully not coming off like some kind, sort, or type of negative internet trolls who are not willing to engage in a positive exchange that would benefit one and many, including themselves, but rather do the total opposite, God forbid. Otherwise, I will silence their chat and block them. And most who I block are blocked permanently. Anyway, getting back to some of such other to wrap things up. Like I said, is I will usually give the basic intro. I will speak upon a subject matter, topic discussion, or give an argument for many different views and opinions to be associated with some and such to be debated. Yes, maybe one or two, a couple, three or four more, depending on how I feel at some present given no time. And whereas I would say in more words or less, so I paraphrase, not quoted by saying, you know, so far as last but not least, the conclusion for any social media broadcast by saying, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now, while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing and realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of some such Roman soldiers on the hill of Golgotha, just suffering upon that thing, whereas he had given his life for that or some such given one time, so that anybody and everybody, being of whatsoever race and whatever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences, being of the old and young alike of both two sexes, the male and female, represent not only the human species, but the global community within this post 911 era of our new millennium apocalyptic day and age, where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight, compared to how formerly Peter Prodigy was recording midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. Whereas if any of us were to profess some of such faith in him, from there we become would be blessed in one regard or another, more ways than one. First and foremost, with his salvation being of which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. Second of all, with that being his deliverance. But first, you have got to get his salvation before you can or could possibly become or be blessed in any regard. Otherwise, you have nothing coming so far as blessing is concerned. And if and when you make that, well, eventually you will, like anybody else, make that transition for the afterlife of the great beyond or the hereafter. So, so whenever you were to, hopefully you will not become a one of some of such others, across that great divide that separates heaven from hell, being the lost, damned human souls, you know, who will be tortured and terrorized by the devil and demons forever in a lake of fire of damn hell that burns with fire, brimstone, sulfuric acid. Being because refusing to accept Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, but rather instead, hopefully, you be across that great divide that separates heaven from hell in the company of like-minded believers in God, as in Christians, aka Protestants, and in the presence of God and his angels otherwise. Then because God is not to be mocked. What you sow is what you shall reap. And man's days are 120. That's 120 years max, or for the maximum. As nobody lives forever in this world. And I would hate to be in anybody's shoes who don't have that life insurance policy of the blood sacrifice of our Lord and Savior, the Christ, the Messiah deliverer, the Rabbi of rabbis, the Lord of lords, the King of kings, the Prince of peace upon and within one's soul, immortal human soul. Because damn hell is no joke. You take it for what you want, you keep putting it off. That the decision as to whether or not to accept him as your personal Lord and Savior, and you can find yourself, you know, burning forever in a lake of fire, damn hell, because you never know when your time could come. And people in damn hell do want ice water. And I would be like, see, you don't want to be it. Because it is what it is. That's what I believe. That's one of the few real or true believers in God, as in Christians, aka Protestants, compared to how the majority of most churchgoers or whatsoever, whatever religious denominations are nothing much more than from the worst of two evils to the worstest of closet devil worshippers. That's what I believe. I'm sure that there are other persons that agree with me compared to how still there are others that would tend to differ. Hey, you all take care and be safe. Be blessed, not stressed, and I'll get back with you later. Until then, we out. Peace.